Hello, YouTube. We're going again for another workout. I'm making sure that all of my different streaming devices are on, so give me just a second as always, and then we're gonna get it going. How are we feeling? Did y'all just do the kettle club workout with me? If you did, we're tired. All right, we're going on Instagram now. Instagram, we're back for another workout. I just saw y'all 2 seconds ago for kettle club, which I will say I've misjudged how long the kettle club workout is compared to the bodybuilding workout. This one you can get in probably 30 minutes. That one, especially with me coaching, is definitely 45 every single time. So sorry about that. I'm a few minutes late, but we've got squats ahead of us. Now, I know that we hit squats earlier this week, but we're doing them again today. And that is because this volume of bodybuilding has squats as the main lift. So just like my kettle club program, where we pick one skill to really go deep on every single week with very strategic progressive overload, that is the case here as well. Of course, we're hitting all 3 big lifts. We've got squat, we've got deadlift and bench, but we've got a few different kinds of squat variations in this program, and we hit back squats twice every week. Our 4th day in this program is an optional Olympic weightlifting day. If you don't like Olympic weightlifting, if you feel scared about it, if you don't want to dabble in it, that's completely fine. That's the one I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Today, just back squats, okay? So we're going to be having quite a few rounds here. We're going to be working with 80% of our 1 rep max, and we're going to be doing about 3 or 4 reps every single set. So that's going to be fun. I did promise Kettle Club that we are going to do our windmill to start the day. I am going to be utilizing, I'm going to use a dumbbell for this. I know that seems weird, but I'm going to use a dumbbell because for this program, I don't require people to have a kettlebell. I also want to show you guys that you can use a dumbbell for a windmill. You could use a barbell for a windmill. I'm not going to be teaching that, but you could use any sort of load to add for your windmill. Honestly, it doesn't even have to be weighted. It could be a foam roller for all I care. But we're going to be starting with that as our mobility piece. And we were going to be doing that anyway, but I really want to make sure that I hit it first because all the people that were just in Kettle Club may not be sticking around for a workout with us right now, but they want to go over them. So let's go over it really quick. We're going to be starting with 1 hand overhead, no weight in your hand to start, making sure all my different places can see me. We're going to start with right hand overhead. I want your palm facing me. So the palm is going to be facing the same side, same direction as the chest. Now, there are many different ways to teach this. I'm going to teach this one particular way today, but there are lots of different ways. So nothing's wrong necessarily as long as they can tell you why. That was their intention of teaching it. For me, we're using this as the front of the room, so that's why I'm going to cue this way. So right hand overhead, chest is facing the front of the room. I'm going to turn my feet in the opposite direction as the side where my hand is up. So feet are facing the left, about 45 degrees that direction. If I were to take my hand down and rotate my chest, I am in this offset kind of standing position where I could maybe do a kickstand, or I could do like a little mini lunge, like a V stance. That is where we're at. However, we're rotated this way. My feet are strategically this way so that I can push into my hip to the side. Now with my hand overhead, I'm looking up at my palm. I'm going to do that. I'm going to push into my right hip. There's just a slight bend in my knee. There's a pretty big bend in the front leg, but I'm still searching for a stretch in this hamstring because finding tension is going to give you more stability in this movement. I'm going to come down until my elbow is anchored on the inside of my knee, especially as we're warming up, because that will allow you to open up even more to gaze up. Now, if you feel like you're kind of stuck, it's because the shoulder's probably lifted. So I want you to squeeze your shoulder blade down in the direction of your hip. You're going to feel like your lat and your oblique like connect in that side body, and you're just going to feel so much more open to gaze up at your hand. Now come up. You don't have to stay down there forever. But you should have felt your hamstrings. You should have felt that twist, and you should feel this shoulder kind of like lighting up, hopefully in a good way. Did everyone feel that? I'm going to now do it on the other side, and then we're going to add weight to it. Let's go left hand overhead. So palm facing the front of the room, chest is facing the front of the room, and I'm going to spin my feet to the right. Now I'm not going to have a super wide stance. That's because if I were to have a wide stance, pushing back is going to feel ultra weird. This leg's going to be locked out. I'm going to have to bend a lot in that knee, and I'm never really going to get my hip past my foot, which we want, because if we're leaning forward, we want to meet it with the same amount of push back so that our feet are in our midline. If they're not in our midline, we're falling forward or we're falling backwards, okay? So that's kind of the reason behind that. So left hand overhead, spin your feet to the right, look up and over, slight bend in your knees, push back in your hip. I'm opening my chest, I'm squeezing my shoulder blade down, and I'm going to anchor my elbow on the inside of the knee so I can open up even more in that thoracic rotation, gazing up at my palm still. Then stand up and pull down, okay? So if we were holding a weight, that is when we would pull it down. Eyes are glued to that dumbbell or the kettlebell or whatever piece of equipment you're using the entire time. Especially when you go upside down, you do not want to take your eyes off of whatever that is. It's falling on your face otherwise, okay? Your dumbbell, your kettlebell is going to go wherever you look. So if you want it to stay overhead, keep your eyes overhead. Let's add whatever you want. If it's a kettlebell, if it's a dumbbell, I'm all good with it, okay? Biggest thing is, again, make sure that your palm is facing the front of the room. So right hand is holding. We're going to spin the feet to the left. Make sure that it's not a super long or wide stance. Look up and over at whatever bell you have in your hand. Push back in your hip. Push back just as much as your chest comes forward. Anchor your elbow on the inside of the knee. Open your chest. Keep this top arm locked out. We're effectively eliminating it by locking out the elbow. I'll talk about that more in a second. Come back up. Let's do the other side. What I feel is the limiting factor for a lot of people in the windmill is getting freaked out by the weight being overhead. But just so you all know, locked out joints are pretty freaking strong. If you can lock out and you have control over your shoulder, that bell's not going anywhere, okay? If you can press it, you can probably windmill with it. The biggest thing, though, is just feeling confident in where it is. So that's where that shoulder stability comes into play that is so important to work on. Well, guess how you work on it? Windmills. So that is really the reason behind all that. But just keep in mind, I'm locking out here, and it's not going anywhere, okay? The second I bend that elbow, you're going to feel the weight. So we want to get it locked out and keep it locked out. Let's do that other side. Left hand overhead. Look up and over, spin your feet away, push back in your hip. And if this is where it feels comfortable, great. I want you to lock out this arm so you have something to push against on the inside of your knee. But if you want to keep going, you can obviously anchor your elbow there with a bent arm or straight. I'm cool with either. Good. I want to say one more piece about why the palm faces forward, and then we're going to move on with our barbell piece since this is our barbell workout. So palm being forward to the front of the room. I want to see if y'all can see this visually. This is my arm overhead with my shoulder blade squeezed down. Can y'all see my lat? You can see this kind of meaty part of the side of me. Now I'm going to turn internally. Can you see it as much? Oh wait, I'm jacked. Of course you can see it. Just kidding. But if I go into internal rotation, all of a sudden I'm cutting off my lat. So if I'm internally rotated, it really shows when I'm here. When I'm internally rotated versus externally rotated, whole different ball game. I got trap here, whereas lat here, okay? So we want our lat. This is effectively what I am when I'm over in the windmill. It's not over my head anymore, it's here. So if I'm internally rotated, that's all trap. I'm cutting off my strength from my lat, but more importantly, my whole side body, my whole core, I lose if I go into internal rotation. So we want to keep it externally rotated so we still have a way of connecting to our core during this movement, because again, if we don't have our core, especially in something as difficult and like high choreography as a windmill, that weight is falling, okay? Or at minimum, it's feeling like shit in your shoulder. So we don't want that to happen either. Let's practice, or not practice, let's put our shoes on. If you've got weightlifting shoes, I'm gonna put my socks on. And we're gonna get to work with our barbell. So as I mentioned, we're working with 80% today. We've been working with 70% all week, but with the back squat being our main lift, or squatting in general, but back squat in particular being our main lift for this program, we are turning it up a notch. And every single day 3 of this program, we'll see it. And it will kind of creep up every week, very minimally, but just enough to, over the course of 6-7 weeks, get really close to 90% for those reps. So I'm gonna give y'all a range here. I said 3 to 4, I actually meant 2 to 4. So we're gonna be going 2 to 4 reps every single set. Your warm-up sets are gonna be 5, but once we get to our working sets, it's gonna be 2 to 4 reps. And then that's it. We're gonna have all of our working rounds, and that's our whole workout today. So it is not at all about conditioning. It is about absolute strength. And if you want to add conditioning pieces, I'd suggest doing the kettle club workout from today, because we were definitely huffing and puffing over there in our section 2 of that workout. So that is already posted on my Instagram, YouTube, all that. So if you want to go check that out, feel free, but do it later. We're ready for barbell now, huh? Let's get it going. So I've got my weightlifting shoes on, especially for today, because if I'm pushing 80% on the barbell, I need to have my feet set up for success, specifically my ankles and my spine. And if you feel like it's hard at all to stay upright, if you will, not that anyone's staying totally upright in a squat, but if you're high bar squatting and it just feels like the bar is pulling you forward, you may need a little bit of help for your ankles. So a tiny little lift can make all the difference. I would suggest using 2.5-pound plates, just a tiny little plate. It doesn't have to be anything tall. I don't know what my heel lift is in these shoes. I can't remember. 1 inch maybe, or 1.25. I'm not really sure. But they're not super tall. It's just enough to get my heel lifted so that I can really drive through my toes, and obviously keep my heels down as well, but really, really drive through the toes, which are going to give me my most powering squat. It is very much quad and glute driven, not hamstring driven, all right? Let's warm up with our empty bar, and then we're going to do 3 more warm-up sets after this before we hit our working rounds. Empty bar, 5 reps. I would suggest sitting in the bottom of the squat. Give your legs a chance to warm up, especially your joints. I'm sitting directly in between my heels. And then rock it. Okay, so we're gonna do 50, 60, 70% for our warm-up sets, all right? We do not need anything exhausting us during these warm-ups. We want to keep the load, obviously a load that is really pushing us so that when we hit 80% on that bar, it's not like a total surprise. But in terms of reps, I don't want you doing more than 5, that's for sure. I would suggest, honestly, 2, 3. I spoke about this in the kettle club workout. The whole point of touching these weights is just to touch them, just to remind our bodies of what they feel like, not to give it a workout in the warm-up, okay? So I'm gonna put on, let's see here, 50%, I'm gonna put on a 25. My 1 rep max for back squat is like just a little bit more than 200 pounds. I'm no power lifter. I'm not trying to be one. I also have a labral tear in my hip. So I take all of that into account when I'm pushing myself. I'm like, okay, push myself within reason. My number one thing is I don't want to feel like shit. So if squatting 210 pounds makes me feel like shit, but 205 doesn't, I'm doing 205 all day long, okay? So that is what I'm basing this off of for the most part. So put 50% on your bar-ish, and let's hit 5 reps max. You can do less if you need to, or if you want to. All right. There's my 5 at 50%. Take a little breather. Next, we're going to be doing, Malcolm hitting on me, that's hilarious. Next, we're going to be doing 60%. So for me, it's fairly simple to do the math there. If my 1 rep max is 200 pounds, 10% of that is 20 pounds, okay? So I'm just gonna add a 10 to each side. I'm gonna be doing that every single round. I'm just gonna keep going up 20 pounds total for every round. But if you need to do math, obviously go ahead and do that. If not, load up that bar and let's get to work. I'm gonna start going to 3 reps now, because I just already know that 6 rounds at 80% is gonna be a lot for me after the week I've had. So you feel free to adjust your reps in your warm-up. I just don't want it to be more than 5, okay? All right, if you're ready, let's go ahead and start this thing. Up to 5, 60%. Okay. How we feeling? Next, let's see. My next thing is to go up another 20 pounds, which equals a 45 on each side. So the good gym rule is when it equals the next weight up for plates, go up to it. Don't just keep stacking 10s. That's the reason that your gym's 10s are all broken if you're using competition plates, or it's the reason that the new girl in class who maybe needs only 10s doesn't have any to work with because you have 8 of them on your bar. So don't do that shit. Take the plates off, put a 45 on. You're a big girl or a big boy, you can do it. All right, 45, there it is. Also, unpopular opinion, wait, it might be popular. I don't know if y'all feel this way too, but I think competition plates feel lighter than steel plates. I said that the other day. I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but I'm really honestly very positive that competition plates just feel lighter, even though they look bigger. It's not as dense. So picking up that 45 just felt like almost lighter than putting away the 25. I don't know, let me know your thoughts. Okay. This is our final warm-up set. If you feel like you need a couple more, feel free to take it, okay? Biggest thing is when you do get to your working sets, we're doing 6 rounds of them, all right, 2 to 4 reps at 80%. This is my final warm-up set at 70%. So this is gonna be a lot for me, but we're rolling with it, okay? I'm gonna show my struggle online. It's more relatable. Okay, I'm probably gonna do 2 reps on this so I don't exhaust myself before the main event. Here we go. Final warm-up set, up to 5 reps. Don't unnecessarily exhaust yourself. Take your rest whenever you get done with that, and then let's get ready to walk. Whenever you finish that warm-up set, get 80% onto your bar. I'm not going to kill you if it's 78% or 82%, but I do want you to go off of how does it feel, okay? The goal is for the minimum number of reps to be 2. If you cannot get 1, it's probably not your 80%. It's probably like 95%, okay? So just be willing to adjust. Don't let your ego get in the way of you actually getting better. Because if you're constantly pushing for a 1 rep max, newsflash, you're not going to be getting much stronger. You're probably just wrecking your joints if you're constantly pushing for a 1 rep max. I think it's so important, and I said this in Kettle Club, I think it's so important for you to touch the weight, but also push it as far as you can within reason. No one here is going to be finding like true 1 rep max today unless you do that all the time. You're probably not pushing to the point of the barbell falling off of your back, right? We're not either. I don't want you to push that hard, especially because we have a good amount of volume ahead of us today. But I want you to push as many as you can. So 2 to 4 is the range for that reason. Because I just kind of doubt that everyone's going to be hitting, oh yeah, true 1 rep max for 6 rounds in a row. It's not happening. If you can do 1, you can probably do 2. That's my rule of thumb for all the people in my class. So when they're like, oh yeah, when are we testing 1 rep maxes? I'm like, we're testing 2 rep maxes because I just know that y'all can do it. With a little bit of encouragement and camaraderie, you can squat it for 2. Here we go. First working round, 80% on our backs, 2 to 4 reps. We got 6 rounds ahead of us with about 1.5 minutes of rest in between. Okay, which means lots of time for me to talk. Here we go. Get set. All right, take your rest. Whew. Feel that little bit of lactic acid, you're in a good place. Oh, it's gonna be a fun one. So 1.5 minutes rest here. If you're just joining, we are streaming workouts all week this week. We got Kettle Club at 6:45 a.m. Eastern. Got Bodybellding at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. And the reason is because we launched my app Continuum on the App Store. But as I predicted, we've had some bugs. So as we're bug testing this first week that we're live, I wanted to make sure that people had unobstructed access to staying consistent with their workouts, which is why I'm streaming them all. So obviously most people aren't going to be able to do the workout with me live streamed. I tried to pick a time that would work for a lot of people, but I think there are even more people doing it later in the day. So that's why they're posted. It's on my YouTube, it's on my Instagram. You can join an interactive Zoom call if you'd like to kind of like participate in it with me and ask me questions. I leave their audio on. So yeah, lots of different options there. And it's really just to kind of give my developers a second to like catch up with little things that we found, which we're always going to find bugs, but especially week 1 of it being on the App Store, it's just bound to happen. So I just knew that would make me feel better, knowing that all my clients have their workouts to follow in some capacity. The other piece to this, though, is when you join one of my programs, you start from day 1. So volume 1, day 1. You could, of course, jump around if you wanted to. I won't hold you back from that, but the encouragement and the way that the app is set up is it's going to put you into volume 1, day 1, and have you follow from there. So this is volume 3 of this program. And that's why we've got so much squatting. We've built up to this. So if 6 rounds of this feels like way too much today, don't do it. Do 4 rounds, do 3 rounds, okay? As long as you're kind of feeling this weight, letting your body adapt, getting used to it, that's all I really care about. Go ahead and hit our next round. 2 reps, 2 to 4 reps. I'm doing 2. And take your rest. Whew. So yeah, we already had our first workout this morning, kettle club, bright and early. Now we're in our barbell program called Bodybellding. The reason for that is just a cute little play on words, but I want people to know that in building strength, you can build physique too. You know, if you're smart about it, if you are smart with your eating, and you're just really dedicated to all those different pieces that build into your whole body wellness, you can build a lot of different things that way. Not just strength, not just endurance, not just physique. It can be all of them combined. But what's funny is the real intention was for it to be like powerlifting and bodybuilding combined. But at the end of the day, I think of those as one and the same. Like, I build my body with powerlifting and Olympic style weightlifting and kettlebells. So you're not gonna find me doing bicep curls, even though I got biceps. Interesting, huh? I'll do them once in a while, but very randomly. It is not at all a regular part of my routine. And that is because I used to do bodybuilding, and it did not yield the physique that I wanted. Isn't that funny? I like me better in this space, but I think it's also because I'm gentler on myself now, and I'm not quite as like, oh, ab check, like, how's everything looking? How's the horseshoe? I'm not obsessing over it, so now, like, I see myself in a more kind way. Pretty sure that's what it is. All right, next round, let's hit it. Oh yeah. Now, I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna go down 5 pounds. I feel myself getting to that point where my second rep could be failing, and that would take me out of the range that I want us to be in. So, of course, you could still push until you can't get that second one, but then in my opinion, it's like a weird set. It's not a wasted set, it's just not a set that is giving you the number of reps at the intention level that I wanted it to be. So I just know my body, I know how it's feeling. I'm gonna take these 2.5s off, and then hopefully I can keep going with that bottom of the range 2 reps for the next 3 rounds. So don't beat yourself up, just write it down. Keep up with, okay, this one week I had to go down to 78%, 77%, whatever. But now this week I can stick with it for the whole time. So, adjust as needed. About 30 seconds, we're gonna do it again. 3 more rounds. Whew, it's a lot. I've gotten on my soapbox in between every round so far, so sorry about that. But hopefully one gem popped out to you or stuck out to you in those, and it wasn't just a bunch of blab. All right, let's go ahead and get going on our next round. We got round 4, 2 to 4 reps at 80%. Ish. That's where I want to be. Cool. All right, 2 more rounds coming up. Whew. Now this workout compared to the kettle club workout is boring, kind of, in nature. But sometimes, especially on those mornings where it feels too early or too cold or this or that, sometimes it's just kind of nice to like not think about it, get the work done, see, okay, I got 6 rounds of back squats. It's gonna be heavy. That sucks. But get in, get out, you know? It's quick, it's not easy, but it's quick and simple in structure. I think it's a really nice contrast to the complicated nature that is kettlebell training, which doesn't all have to be. But the way my program is, it's definitely like choreography forward, always learning a new skill every week, always changing things up in some way. So this is kind of nice for it to be the exact opposite. All right, let's do round 5, shall we? 2 to 4 reps. This is our second to last set. Get excited, okay? Woo. Oh yeah, starting to kick in. Quads are gonna be feeling it for sure. My glutes always will scream at me too. But that's a good thing. Let's talk about that for a second. If you're always only getting sore in your quads or your hamstrings from squats or deadlifts, that's because this needs to catch up to the fitness of this, okay? You want to feel both in some capacity. If you always only feel hamstrings after kettlebell swings and you don't feel glutes, that is because your hamstrings need to catch up fitness-wise with your rump, okay? It's just a part of it. So, you know, you'll get there. There's also the piece of, are you even using your glutes? And I'm gonna go over that really quick. A very tight muscle will not work for you, point blank. So, foam rolling your glutes to get your workout started is a good way to open them up. So, figure 4 stretch. I've got my right glute on the foam roller. I've got my right foot on my left knee. I'm just gonna roll up and down. Search for sticky spots. Search for pain points, okay? When I find them, I'm gonna stay on it and just kind of rock and not move too much, okay? You can even go external, internal rotation a little bit more to get into it. But if you've ever gone to a physical therapist and they've dry needled something and then all of a sudden, wow, it moves now, like, wow, your ankle moves now, or your shoulder isn't stuck in this like up position, it's because they loosened up the muscles. Well, now you can actually use them. So that's essentially what we're doing here. It's not a complete sure fix, but if you feel like you can't get to your glutes, like they're not firing, it's not that they're not firing, they're just not helping as much as they could be, okay? So foam rolling is a really nice way to kind of like get them moving, get them warm, and keep them from being like solid as a rock. Because a tight muscle is just not going to be the strongest muscle. All right, I'm going to do the other ones while we're here. And then we've got one more round of our squats, okay? That's been a lot of teaching forward moments here today, but I was just in the mood for some education. Why not? What's the point of a live workout anyway, if I'm not going to interact? All right, so back to squats. Hey, if you have any questions about foam rolling too, or myofascial release in general, ask away. I'll cover questions after this set, so you can mull it over for a second. Our final couple reps, I'm doing 2, that's for sure. I might push 3 if it's feeling good, but I don't have a spotter here, so I probably do 2. Again, it's not about finding your 3-rep max today. It's about getting 2 really solid reps on this weight, okay? Letting your body get used to this weight and adapt. That is how you build strength, not constantly maxing out. Here we go. Ooh, second rep in the deep down. All right. Woo, good work, y'all. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in any of these comment boxes. If you don't want to ask on live or it hits you later, I'm an open book. Send me a message. I may not see it immediately if it goes to my message requests, but I will see it eventually. So feel free to send me a message if you have a question about anything regarding barbells, kettlebells, training in general, coaching, like programming. If you want to talk about any of that, I'm happy to chat about it. I've been in this industry for a decade now. I have worked in all different corners of fitness, okay? I've trained myself in all different ways. And this is just what I really enjoy, is heavy lifting and intricate kettlebell flows. Those are like my sweet spots. I feel like it covers the poles really well. And that allows me to like do all the stuff in between pretty well. I feel adaptable. I feel able to learn a new skill far better than before when I was doing machine bicep curls. Okay, I feel more athletic. I am no athlete, that's for damn sure, but I can jump on one foot now and I'm not going to sprain my ankle. Moral of the story. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm trying to look at every single screen. It's so funny. I'm going to have one more set of live workouts tomorrow. Kettle Club is at 6:45 a.m. We're doing a kettlebell flow, and I'm live teaching it, okay? We're breaking it down skill by skill, then building complexes, and then flow. So if you've never done a kettlebell flow with me live, it's a great opportunity for it. And of course, if you can't log on at 6:45 Eastern for that workout, it will be posted on my Instagram and on my YouTube. So feel free to watch it later. I've been loving these live workouts. I'm definitely going to pepper these in more. Maybe I do it for every time I drop a new volume. I don't know. Don't hold me to it. But I think I'm definitely going to do a week like this again soon because it was really fun and it held me accountable. It was one of those weeks where I probably wouldn't have done my workouts because of the craziness of launching an app on an app store, like on the app store. It was a lot, but I got them in, before the sun rose, and I was able to like stick with them because y'all helped me accountable. So thanks for doing these workouts with me. Thanks for encouraging me along the way. If you weren't actually doing them with me, but tuning in and saying hello, I really appreciate it. And I will see y'all tomorrow for flow day at 6:45 a.m. Then we got Olympic weightlifting. It's gonna be super fun with the barbell at 7:30, which is specifically going to be working on our cleans. So join me for that. See y'all. Thank you so much. Bye, YouTube. Thank you.